Hey everybody, Ben here. I have a message here for someone. Uh, I think it's a fun one. We're going to try to keep it fun because I like the song. There's definitely some frustration, and I get it. Like, I can feel it when I was taking notes. So, at first, what came through is Hey, Hey, You. And then a song by, I think it's the Ting Tings. That's Not My Name. And I do like that song. If you ever heard it, you should listen to it. It'll make this make more sense. So, there's some lyrics that it's the song's mostly going about someone feeling invisible, unconfident, and frustrated that they're being, overlooked or mislabeled. And it's a girl singing, and a couple things that stood out to me is, last girl standing at the wall. So I could think back, like at a school dance, everybody would stand at the wall, and might be the last one to be picked. They call me quiet, but I'm a riot. I'm sitting on a fence, locking myself up, locking myself away, you know, or thinking about locking myself away. I forget how it went. This kind of goes in line with a message I just did right before this. And then what came through is I'm cool, I'm fun. And then a thought came to me of blue jeans and a brown belt went a long way. And what I mean by that is, like, when I was younger, and I still think now, blue jeans and a brown belt was attractive. Like, that was pretty attractive. I don't know what everybody's wearing these days, but I think it's just like oversized sweatpants and stuff. I'm not saying like you need to present yourself, but in another way in this song, it was showing that she was wearing high heels, like she was dressed up and still going unnoticed. First card we had was Six of Cups, nostalgia. Could look at happy memories, like me talking about back in the day. And uh, when I think about dating now, I think it's a huge struggle because everything has gone online. I've dabbled in it before. And like if we really look back at this, it like from a male standpoint, I feel like if I went out and tried to start a conversation with someone in public, I'm a hesitant to do such a thing, excuse me, because of the possible repercussions. All these girls film these videos of, I'm just at the gym. I'm not talking about at the gym. I'm just talking about like at the grocery store or something. I would be hesitant to do that because this facade has been painted that don't you fucking dare do this. But then there's plenty of women that post videos that say, I just wish someone would talk to me in public. I hang out at Home Depot trying to meet my future husband. You have this contradiction, but what male would want to put himself in a position that he could possibly be filmed and fucking humiliated for trying to make a nice, introduction to someone in public to date organically? There is that's very sad situation of how it is, if you will. I'm not saying that it's like that all the time. But then we look at online dating and it's a catalog. There's pictures, there's no interaction, beforehand. And somebody might write a lot about themselves or they might not write a lot about themselves. Maybe pictures aren't so great of how to express that person. Maybe they don't do them justice. When we look back in the day before this really existed, we had community. We interacted. You got to know the person a little bit, just by interacting, passing by, etc. To an extent that's like, okay, you know what? I learned a lot more about this person than just looking at a picture and saying, there's so many here to pick from. This one I might like, but I'm nervous. I don't want to waste my time, you know. Or we just have people that are just using the situation for a meal or a hookup or whatever you want to look at it. Uh, Looking back in time, it was a lot more, oh, what's the word? Obviously personal, of course. There was interaction before deciding, yeah, you know what, I would go out on a date. I'm not saying I'm going to marry you, but yeah, you know what, I like you. You're fun. We're enjoying ourselves. We have the same interests, whatever. Let's go out on a date. That's not here anymore. And, you know, looking back can be a little bit of a tough situation. Look at Knight of Swords. swift action. I would advise to be direct. You know, I would. Not saying, hey, I don't want to sleep with you. I'm talking about, like, at the end, we really do get into authenticity. And by maybe if we're presenting ourselves like the others, you're going to be overlooked because we're not authentic. We're not coming from an authentic place. Maybe we're reserved and quiet. And internally, we really have like a lot to say. We're a great person. Like I said before, I'm cool, I'm fun, but worried about rejection or judgment. That is a normal experience and it can hurt. But, on a side note, it's just redirection. It's saving you from something. Knight of Wands reversed. Fleeting thoughts. We're being impulsive. Maybe we're settling and, we want a connection, so we're just kind of thrown in the towel. At the same token, are we going in on a falsehood, like we're presenting ourselves? We're saying all the right things to have this opportunity because we don't want to mess it up, and we're so nervous of messing it up that we're not even, just being ourselves, and then it fails, and then we feel rejected or something like that. This is a very tough situation. The way I'm viewing it, this whole online dating thing is very difficult. It is based on, look at me, pick me out of this sea of everything. And coming from a situation where you're not having a lot of success with that, it's very difficult to stomach. Let's look out if you do go in public. I don't know what it's like anymore if you go to a bar and you get drunk, or you drink enough that you make poor decisions, and then when you wake up and the person doesn't look like what it looked like last night, those things happen. Is that where we're resulting to? I'm not agreeing with the situation. It sucks. I get it. Uh, like I said, if you do something public, you could have a huge threat of some psycho filming something to get attention. And on the other end, yeah. Anyway, Six of Wands reversed. This is external validation. What else did I write down for that? Reputation and acceptance. If we were our true selves, would our reputation be at risk? Are we afraid of losing things? Or, like people, connections? Because maybe we were putting on this facade of, hey, I'm like everybody else, but there's a lot of great things about me that I'm not, sharing openly. Why not? When I think about, like, 100% being yourself, that's gonna be so much more attractive, and you're confident in it. But being rejected this much, I get it. We just want to be accepted. The message I did earlier is, we naturally want to give love and receive love. And it's like, what's the freaking point anymore? Like, I've tried all these different things and they don't even know my name. Like, they just, do they know my name? Am I just a piece of ass? What is it? Like, I want a true connection here. And I get that. At the end, we do have the Lovers, a partnership. Whether this is with ourself or another. Obviously, this has led to another, the message, but being authentic is a partnership with ourselves as well, and after that, things follow. I really like to stress, like, no matter like what I'm talking about, is building things on a falsehood. And sometimes we don't know who we are at a time. Maybe we were in a situation that we gave ourselves up, and we're just continuing to continue a cycle, in that falsehood. When we move into who we truly are, that obviously is going to carry a lot of self-confidence because we're comfortable. We don't care if somebody likes you because we don't need that external validation. Of course we want everybody to like us, but not everybody is going to. Me putting myself out here and saying my points and views, it's going to upset a lot of people, and then some people are going to agree. Do I care? Of course it would hurt if somebody disagrees with me, but am I going to let it own me or direct me? No. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and I agree with that. There's tons of things people say that I don't like. I don't go out of my way to make them feel bad about it, you know. It, but there's people that work out of wounds and they don't like it and they want to knock you down. I get that. That's totally off subject of just being rejected or unnoticed, you know. Not saying that, just as an example, like look at like a librarian, like very quiet, uh, dresses a certain way. Like I'm thinking about like a movie or something that almost looks boring, but really inside that person has so much more, you know. Introvert way of expressing yourself alone and not with others. I don't know if that's the case here, but it adds to the point of that is a difficult path. It is. And we see all these other people doing things and we think, oh, well, if I do that, then I could fit in or be accepted. This could totally be also a job, you know. Everybody's resume looks the same. Who are they going to pick? The person that stands out. How do you stand out? It's not the degree, it's not this extra reward or anything. It's you. You are the prize. And this goes the same for truly being in a great relationship, is that person views you that much as a prize. Before, when I was writing at the end, I thought to myself, like if we're doing things to get a mate or a partner, however you want to call it, like if I go to the gym to make myself look better to get a mate, that is built on a falsehood, because I did that to receive this. I didn't do it for me. This is where authenticity comes. Look at ourselves in our life and how our motive is. Is our motive for us, or is it for something external? And if we're doing things for external, obviously that's validation and this reward, or however we want to view it. We're getting that. We're doing this for something else. External. We're not doing it for ourselves. If we're going to the gym to make ourselves healthier and feel better about ourselves, not with the motive for another, you know, that's the fine line. I'm doing this to feel better about myself internally, or am I doing this to feel better about myself with the external? You know, this is a gamble. I shouldn't say a gamble, but like a balancing situation that, yeah, I could word it this way, but is it true? And if it's built on a falsehood, we like really won't ever feel good about ourselves, because we're doing something for this external validation, which really comes into coming back to ourselves, healing ourselves, working on ourselves, and being authentic with ourselves, you know, accepting ourselves however we wish to accept ourselves. And if that's getting to a certain place in life, then that's your goal, that's your situation. But when we involve the external, it is not. And when we really look at our life and we look at everything we do, ask yourself, am I doing this for external validation, or am I doing this for myself? But if I'm doing it for myself for external validation, you know, that's not for ourselves, is what I'm trying to say. And if you actually look at it, a lot of things we do would be for external validation versus for ourselves. And that's how we're getting back to authenticity, getting back to ourselves. And it's not about selfishness or anything like that. It is external validation versus self, peace, happiness, you know, purity within ourselves, not needing external to feel good about ourselves or to be happy, you know, however you look at it. That is the goal. And everyone has this beauty inside. And we could say someone's boring. They might be boring on the surface level because they're afraid to be themselves, or they shut it down because it was rejected. And that sucks. But coming back to that place, we can all be fun and happy in our own time. And there are people that will mesh with that. It's just finding them. And as the song went, I'm just frustrated that everyone's overlooked me or not seen me. As far as guidance is, if this is dating, whether you are a male or a female, that whole situation's fucked with the online dating. Like, I don't I don't agree with it. I think good things do come out of it at times. Obviously, whatever some people are interested in can happen too. But, if you're a woman, as the Knight of Swords, be direct. Super, if you're out in public and you see a guy, talk to him. Because otherwise, coming from my side of things, they're scared shitless for repercussions that the online has presented itself. It's kind of, not saying that they're not bold or wimpy. It's like, why would I risk some psycho filming this and making a lie that's not true? And online dating is just a catalog that we don't have that interaction. Maybe online dating should be more like YouTube. Not saying that that's my motive. I'm saying we're talking, you're interacting, the person gets to know this person. They're like, you know what? I kind of like this person. And then if the other person has videos too, they'd be like, you know what? I like that person too. It's not just, hey, let's look at a picture and say yes or no. I don't know. Anyway, I'm all over the place. Listen to that song. It's a fun song. I like that song. Maybe it'll make you happy. Have a great day.